Two friends who had recently been certified as cave divers decided to explore the shaft sinkhole. Their dive plan was to stage their extra tanks on the way and dive with a single tank. Unfortunately, one of the divers got entangled in loose guidelines. His only hope of survival lies in getting out of the entanglement before his limited air supply runs out. In South Australia, near Mount Gambier, there is a farm that might appear like any other farm, with animals happily grazing in its fields. But within this farm lies an extraordinary secret discovered by Trevor Ashby. They call it the shaft, a deep pit estimated to reach a staggering depth of at least 393 feet. The remarkable finding unfolded when Ashby's grandfather was plowing a field, and by pure chance, a horse mistakenly stepped through the ground's surface, unveiling the concealed abyss below. Initially, the family attempted to fill the void by dropping countless stones into it, yet they soon came to comprehend that the hole was so vast that their efforts proved futile. Even today, the sole means of reaching the immense underground cavern lies hidden amidst the grass, disguised as a small opening. When you venture into these underwater caves, the absence of light engulfs everything around you. The tunnels stretch out in countless directions, forming an intricate maze that easily confuses divers, leading them astray. Finding yourself lost within such a cave is perilous, as it brings forth the looming danger of drowning. This particular sinkhole not only holds the distinction of being exceptionally dark, but also stands as the deepest ever documented in the region. Remarkably, this sinkhole carries great significance for the South Australia Police water operations. They've designated it as a training site, recognizing its potential for enhancing their skills and preparedness. They made effective use of the shaft to practice their search and rescue techniques in underwater settings. These exercises involved honing their abilities to locate individuals or objects submerged beneath the water's surface, ensuring their utmost safety. Henry McCall, a retired physical education teacher, was a 58-year-old individual who was well known for his adventurous nature. Since he was young, he expressed his desire to become an explorer and consistently participated in thrilling sports. Growing up on a ranch, he faced numerous instances of falling off horses before eventually mastering the skill of horseback riding. Despite the challenges, he never gave up on his dreams. As a testament to his fearlessness, he even kept a pet snake and once bravely escaped an encounter with a crocodile. Upon retiring from his teaching career, Henry developed a profound love for the underwater realm and decided to include cave diving in his list of activities. For 11 months, he dedicated himself to learning all the necessary skills and knowledge related to diving. His passion and dedication paid off when he successfully obtained certification as a professional cave diver. Fueled by his newfound qualifications, Henry eagerly planned to embark on a cave diving expedition in the renowned shaft sinkhole just 2 weeks later. On the day of the dive, Henry's wife Karen did not want him to go on the dive. She had a nightmare, but Henry dismissed it as just an ordinary feeling. He kissed his wife goodbye, got into his truck, and drove off. He met up with his fellow diver Eric, who also obtained his certification on the same day. Together, they had prepared themselves for the exciting adventure ahead. Eric, just like Henry, possessed a fearless spirit and shared a perfect synergy with him in their diving endeavors. Before embarking on their underwater journey, they meticulously conducted thorough safety checks on all their diving equipment to ensure everything was in proper working order and ready for the dive. As the designated day arrived, the divers assembled at the entrance of the shaft cave. Their dive plan was to go to a depth of 98 feet. They were filled with anticipation and excitement as they geared up, mentally and physically prepared to explore the mysterious underwater world with no fear whatsoever at heart. With their equipment prepared and ready, they eagerly began their journey into the cave. It was around 9 a.m. when they embarked on their descent, guided by the gentle sunlight seeping through a small opening above. On their dive, Henry and Eric strategically placed 2 additional tanks at specific locations along their dive route. This was so they would have enough air supply throughout their underwater exploration. They were equipped with a single tank and planned to make use of the other tanks on their way out. Henry believed that their dive would proceed smoothly and according to schedule, allowing them to reach their intended depth before depleting the air in the single tank they carried. As they commenced their dive, Henry glanced at his air gauge, noting that he had a full 45 minutes of air available in his tank. So they maintained their pace to complete their dive objectives within the allotted time frame. As they ventured further into the cave, the divers carefully navigated through the complex network of tunnels, following the main permanent cave line that served as their trusted guide. As Henry and Eric arrived at a depth of 98 feet, they exchanged signals to communicate their decision to begin their ascent. However, as they started making their way back up to the surface, an unexpected and dangerous situation unfolded. At a depth of 82 feet, Henry found himself caught in a loose guideline, causing him to become trapped. Initially unaware of how severe the situation was, Henry attempted to free himself from the entanglement. However, his efforts only resulted in further entanglement. Panic quickly set in as both divers realized how dangerous the situation was. Eric swiftly sprang into action and set out to free his friend from the entanglement. During the situation, the divers realized that they had made an unwise decision. The extra tanks they had stashed on their dive route should have been with them. This is because they would need the additional air right there, now that they have experienced a delay. Henry began to panic and was breathing faster than ever. Skilled cave divers should know better than to make a dive without a backup air supply handy. In that situation, the clock is ticking as their air supply is depleting rapidly. Eric was now faced with two choices. He can either remain in the same unfortunate situation as Henry, risking his life, or he can prioritize his safety by leaving his friend. Unfortunately, Eric had no choice but to leave his friend and hastily make his way toward where he had stashed the extra tanks. On getting there, he grabbed an additional tank and hurried back to his friend, desperately hoping that he would reach him in time. However, upon getting back to his friend, he discovered that Henry had tragically passed away. He had run out of air. His regulator became tangled and he drowned. The devastating turn of events left Eric shattered and overwhelmed with grief. As if the loss of his friend wasn't enough, he found himself in another dangerous situation. His air supply was rapidly going down once again, forcing him to leave his friend behind and quickly ascend to the surface. Unfortunately, in his haste and due to the shock of his loss, Eric made the grave mistake of resurfacing too quickly without completing the necessary decompression stop, which is a vital process to allow the body to adjust and release accumulated gases safely. Fortunately, upon surfacing, Eric met a group of fellow divers. These divers quickly took action and reached out to the appropriate authorities for assistance. Emergency services were immediately mobilized and a rescue operation was set into motion. Not long after, Eric was airlifted to the closest hospital where he could receive the necessary decompression treatment. Meanwhile, the news of Henry's unfortunate demise lingers, and his wife and children were thrown into mourning. The following day, a local recovery team was dispatched to retrieve Henry's body, ensuring that he could be returned to his loved ones and given a proper farewell. His body was brought to the surface approximately 48 hours after Eric had surfaced. The whole diving community, friends, and family mourned the loss of a fearless diver. Once again, people were reminded of how risky cave diving is. For anyone who wants to engage in cave diving, never assume. Diligently adhere to safety measures, proper training, and established protocols. We would like to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed watching, take a dive on the like and subscribe buttons and hit the bell icon so you get notified when we come back with another exciting cave diving story.